Today, my name is Teresa Fredericks from Growing Businesses Using Projects, bringing you yet another video, this time on Microsoft Excel, assigning resources and determining the cost. This is a worked example, so you can download the exercise and follow along with us. It is in our series, Microsoft for Beginners, designing the project schedule. So let's get started. We're going to be looking at the various types of resources, both material and cost. We are going to assign resources and determine the total cost, and we're going to put in task notes. So let's talk a little bit about resources. There are three main types of resources in MS Project. There's work, which is people, equipment, and facilities that are assigned in the completion of a task. You can name people in three ways. You can use their name, Tom Smith. You can use their title, procurement specialist, or you can use groups. You can say carpenters, masons, etc., etc. So if you have 300%, it means there are three of them. People have a limited amount of hours worked. They can either work 6, 8, or 12 hours. People might be flexible in the tasks they perform, and so they can perform many tasks on a project. Equipment resources can undertake short or long duration work, for example 24 hours. They can have maintenance breaks and can be used by more than one resource. What about material? Material are physical goods or other inputs required to complete a task. Material are consumables used by work resources, for example nails. They're used to track a fixed quantity or rate of consumption. They could be fixed or variable consumption. Maximum unit values do not apply. They have labels. They can be measured, for example 4 reams of paper, and have a per unit cost. The units of measure are an important gauge. And the last one is cost. Other costs such as overhead or travel expenses that are involved in the completion of a task. There are other costs that are not involved in the direct completion of a task and are classified as fixed costs. But costs represent a financial cost associated with a task in the plan, with work and material resources. Such resources do no work and have no effect on the schedule of a task. You enter the cost value of a cost resource only when you assign it to a task. Okay, this is the resource sheet we have created. We're in Excel, and our previous video showed how to create this resource sheet. Now we are going to assign resources. We're going to start with network equipment. We have network equipment as material. I explained in my last video that equipment will be a work type resource. However, this is not equipment to use on the project. This is equipment that is going to be part of a network that is being built. Alright, so it comes just as if you're buying bricks to build a house. This equipment is part of the construction of this network. And so it's an input into the network. We are using a per unit cost. And we're saying we're buying about 6 of these huge pieces of equipment, and we are saying each one is $12,000, and we have to pay for it at the start because they're not going to ship it until we pay for it. So let's see how we're going to account for equipment. And I'm going to here. I have set up material resource costing. I have the WBS, the task, which is receive equipment. That is the task associated with this expenditure. Start and end date, the duration. But we have network equipment. The per unit. We have the standard rate and the number. So to get the cost of material, it's going to be 12,000 by 6, which is 72,000 for this particular this particular resource. So let's go back to the sheet again. The next one we're going to be looking at is cost. And cost resources are not put, the value is not put on the resource sheet in MS Project. The value is incurred against the activities that use this cost resource. So let's go to how we handle cost resources. In this particular exercise, FGH Electrical has a contract to do all the electrical work. And here we are told that payment for electrical company FGH is based on deliverables of the contract. Payment includes material and all other costs. Payment is given based on the contract, which stipulates the following payments. So it says when they finish pre-install, they get 35. When the company finish connect wiring the PCs, they get 20. And when they finish test individual PCs, they get 5. So let's see how we put it up in the resource sheet. We have cost resource, we have the WBS, we have pre-install. Here you have the resource, FGH Electrical, and they are paid 35,000. That's the cost. Connect wiring, they are paid 20. Test individual, they are paid 5. So the total payment for this is $60,000. Here you are paying according to a contract. Now, how do you handle work resources? So let's just go back again to the example. We have finalized design, and we are told that KS is the person who is the resource for this particular project. So what we have done, we have taken all the WBS numbers of all the activities, or you want to call them tasks, and what resources have been assigned to them. The planning close, execution close, and closing close has no resources assigned to them. They are milestones. So let's look at how we set it up in Excel. So you have the code, finalize design, the start and finish date and duration. Now in this work resources, duration is important. We had put the duration here, but it is not important as much important for cost resources. It's important for work resources, and I'll tell you why. Work resources have no labor or number, but they have a maximum availability. So when you see Kim Smith, who has been assigned to finalize design, and his maximum availability is 100, what that means, he's working full time. So if it's 8 hours work with 1 hour lunch, he is on the job full time. His rate is $55 per hour. Overtime is 60, but we are not told that he was paid overtime. So we are just going with the standard rate. First, we have to work out how many hours. Cost per use does not really apply to work resources, except, of course, if you have equipment, heavy equipment like a backhoe coming on to the property and you have a transportation cost, or if you hire someone and because of the location of your facility, they charge you for the visit, but they tell you have to pay them an extra money to get to the site. Then you would have a cost per use. But normally it's mainly equipment. But in this case, that does not apply. So we have to first work out how many hours we have to pay, because the pay sheet is based on hours worked. It's 5 days duration. Maximum rate is 8 hours per day. So it's 5 by 8 is 40 hours he's being paid. His standard rate is 55, so the cost is 40 by 55, which is 2,200. So let's take another one. Order equipment. You have Jake Neptune and you have Austin Charles. Neptune is 100, Austin is 50%, which means he is assigned to the project 4 hours a day, but he is not being paid, so he does not affect cost. But that is Austin. But Neptune, you have 8 hours by 8 hours, 6 days by 8 hours per day, which is 48 hours. So his rate will be 45 by 48, which is 2160. Then you have higher wiring contractor. I'll just do 3 because it's the same principle. It's 5 days. And here you have Neptune again. So it is going to be 5 by 8, which is 40. And the fee is 45 by 40, 1800. But let's look at receive equipment, because receive equipment is a little different. As a mixture of work resources, which is Jake and Neptune, and okay, it's 1 day, Jake Neptune, so that is 8 hours you're paying him. 8 by 45 is 360. But it also have the network equipment, because remember, you're receiving the network equipment. So even though we did it separately in network, we now bring it in here because we are trying to find the cost of the individual activities. So it's net per unit, it's 6. So it's 6 by 12, and 6 by 12 is going to give you 72,000. So the total cost of this activity is 360 plus 72,000, 72,360. The other one that has two things in it is pre-installed wiring. Pre-installed wiring has Jake, who is 6 hours by 8, 6 days by 8 hours per day, which is 48. 48 by 45 is 2160. But this is also the first payment to FGH Electrical, so you have to put it down. So the total cost of this activity will be 2160 by 35,000, which is 37,160. Let's go again, because we have an interesting one coming up here, which is install PCs. You have the technical team. Now the technical team is 300 here. So it's 7 days. Okay, each of these persons is 8 hours. So if it's 3 per day, it's 24 hours. 8 by 3 is 24 by 7 days. All right, so it's 24 by 7 days would give you the hours work. So that gives 168 hours by $80 per hour, which is $13,440. But what about Bradley? Bradley is working 15%. So you first have to calculate the total hours, which is 7 days by 8, which is 56. And 15% of 56 is 8.4 hours. So Bradley is working 8.4 hours. So it's going to be 8.4 by 150, which is going to be 1260. And it's the same throughout. I have put this template, and you can lower it, bring it down, and you can use it for any one of your projects. So what we have here, we have the total cost, because we have incorporated, you see the summary sheet, we now have cost of work, total cost resource, total material resource, total activity resource. This last line would coincide with MS project, that is going to give you the activity cost of each, the cost of each activity. All right, for instance, this is 360 plus the 5,000, which was the last payment for FGH, 8640. So you have, when you run the total on this, you're getting 178,540, which is the same thing we got in MS project. This one here, it is the total material cost of 72,000 for the equipment, and this is the total cost for the contractor of 60,000. So in MS project, we also get the resource cost. So you are able to just put the name of each person, and you can run a total from the above table on the resource cost. So Austin is nothing, but Neptune is 14,000, technical team 26,880, equipment 70, and the electrical people 60. So you are able to get the same answers as you get in MS project. Good day. We are in MS project, and we are in the Gantt chart view. You're not seeing the Gantt chart because the resource column is fully exposed, but you are seeing the assignment of resources against the various tasks. You're recognizing that it's 44 days in duration, the same project, starting on the 3rd of April, ending on the 6th of June. So let's go to another view. This is the cost table. Here you're seeing, and here you're seeing the tasks and their cost. For instance, finalized design 2,200, or the equipment 2,160. But what you would note is this grand total 178,540 is the same that you're getting in Excel and MS project. And this last table is the resources and their associated costs. And you realize that the costs are the same. You're getting actually the same result. So if you like my content, give it a thumbs up and please subscribe.